My name is Morgan.
I'm grateful.
If you're already subscribed, welcome back, my darling. But if you have not yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe. And also turn your notifications on for all notifications so that you can become a part of the Morgan Shay. Notify. Gang, gang, gang. So today is going to be the start of a series that I do believe is going to bleed all the way into October. This is going to be the Ed and Lorraine Warren series. Now, if you are unfamiliar with who Ed and Lorraine Warren were, welcome back from underneath the rock that you've been under since the 70s. But basically, all of your favorite horror movies have been based off of investigations that this couple did together.
Why do I look cross-eyed? I look cross-eyed.
All we are going to be discussing is who they were. We're not going to be divulging into anything. And then moving past today's episode, we will be talking about their cases in order. And I'm going to go ahead and mention the cases that we will be doing videos on. And if there's something that I don't mention, let me know in the comments. And if there's enough to do a full video on it, we'll consider it. But these are the ones that would have enough information to do like a full, at least 20-minute video on. Annabelle from 1970, which I'm sure you all are familiar with that movie. We have the Perron family in 1971, which is what The Conjuring is based off of. We have Amityville, 1975, which is the Amityville Horror House, or as some people call it, the house with the windows. We also have the Enfield Poltergeist in 1977, which is what The Conjuring 2 is based off of. We then have Arnie Johnson in 1981, which is what The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It is based off of. We then have the Snedeker House in 1986, which most are saying the new Conjuring movie is going to be based off of this house and everything. We also have the Smurl family that was also in 1986. We have Union Cemetery in 1992, which is the woman in white, or the woman in the white gown. That was one of the last investigations that is notable anyways, because Ed went and stayed in that cemetery for a week. And then we have the Voldak, which is the nun. So she wasn't necessarily a nun. It was an entity that followed Ed and Lorraine Warren throughout their lifetime of investigations, and then they made a movie based off of that entity, which is the nun. Yes. So today we're just going to get into who they were and their story. So if you would like to know more about Ed and Lorraine Warren, this is going to be a short and sweet video, but we have some things to share. But if you would like to know who they were as a couple and as individuals, then keep on watching.
For all that beautiful bean footage.
Let's switch this up.
Those of you guys who do not know, even after the intro that I just gave you, Ed and Lorraine Warren were first notable paranormal investigators in the United States, in Northern America, okay? Now, there were other paranormal investigators in the United States, but nothing where there was a bunch of notoriety. Edward Warren Minnie, as we're going to call him moving forward, Ed, that's what he went by, was born on September the 7th of 1926. Lorraine Rita Warren, known as Lorraine Warren, was born on January the 31st of 1927. They have like 6 months apart from one another. They were born like 6 months apart.
They were close in age.
Very close in age. So when Ed was around 5 is when he realized that his childhood home was haunted. So this is when everything started happening for Ed. And it originally was like water turning on by itself, hearing creaks in the floor, the stairs, you would hear people walking up and down stairs, things like that. But later, right before he turned 6 years old, is when he began seeing aspirations. Now, Lorraine, on the other hand, she was much later in life, and this was like a genealogical thing. It was in her DNA. Like the women in her family, a lot of them had this clairvoyant ability. So when she was 12 years old is when her clairvoyance kicked in. In 1944, Ed and Lorraine would meet. Ed was working as an usher at the only movie theater in 50 miles. Also, they were both from Connecticut. So it was the only movie theater in any sort of distance. Ed worked there as an usher, and Lorraine would go weekly with her mother to the movies. And that's how she and Ed met. 1944. In 1945, they were married. Now, here's the kicker, you guys. In early 1945, when Ed was still 17, so he had not turned 18 yet, he enlisted into the Navy and he was sent overseas. Now, while he was overseas, he was on a ship that sank. There was a big accident and it sank, and so he was sent home for 30 days on collision or accident leave. So basically, what I've researched is that Ed was on the back of the ship when it happened, and it went forward, kind of like Titanic, and he twisted his ankle. Now, help was already on the way as soon as things started to go down with the ship. So, from what I understand, there were very, very few casualties during this, but Ed's ankle was like the bone was popped out, and he had to go all the way from the other side of Europe all the way back to the United States to get it fixed. Like he rode that long with the bone sticking out of his foot. I could not even imagine.
No, because back then it wasn't like it is now.
Yeah. Like it's crazy. He was on the North Atlantic seas. Like he went a long way before he got home, you guys. Now, while he was home during those 30 days, he and Lorraine were married in a Roman Catholic church. And very shortly after, on January the 11th of 1946, Lorraine gave birth to their daughter, Judy Warren. And that would be the only child they would ever have. They would never have any more children.
Little Judy.
Yes. After the war, when Ed came back home, he started going to school. So he already considered himself a self-taught demonologist, and Lorraine knew this. They both were aware of each other's abilities, but he started going to school. He went to Yale's Subsidy Art School. Lorraine later said in an interview that they both needed to make a living. She said, quote, "Each of us had skills as landscape artists, and we both harbored a desire to paint. We began our marriage under the assumption that we would both be artists," end quote. Basically saying like when we got married, we both were under the same understanding that we were both going to be painters. They both were landscape artists. So they would paint like different landscapes like prairies and mountains and different things like that. Well, this would turn haunting. So they would begin painting these landscapes and getting paid for it. And then they started going to these homes that were haunted and painting them. And Ed would start seeing things as he was painting, but mainly Lorraine. Lorraine started seeing a bunch of things, especially when they were in the South painting. And there was this particular tree out in front of a yard. And that was the first time that Lorraine was really taken back, because she had been painting this plantation the whole time. And all of a sudden, there's a person in the tree. Like it was crazy. Crazy,
See,
crazy,
for me,
crazy.
it's more like in the one movie of theirs. She sees all the dead people that's around.
Yes.
He doesn't see it. He's more
Yes.
in tune with other aspects of the
Correct.
field.
Correct. Which is like So many things from their stories and investigations have been pulled from and dissected and placed in different movies. So pretty much their life is in different
Film.
parts of other movies. Yes. After Lorraine started to see things, Ed really wanted them to start focusing on this. And again, this was something that they both had abilities for. So it was a both of them thing, but Ed really did push for it. It was also Ed's idea that they started investigating. So this was when Ed was like, listen, if you're seeing this and hearing these things, maybe we should talk to the family, to the owners, and actually start to investigate these homes. It was 5 years of them going around and painting and stuff before they would begin investigating.
Smart of Ed, because that's what they were called to do, I believe.
Yes, 100%. And in 1952, the Warrens founded the New England Society of Psychic Research. It is still open to this day and ran by their son-in-law and daughter. It's known as the NESPR, and it is the oldest ghost hunting group in New England. So there are a few other older ghost hunting groups
Just not New England.
in the United States, but not in New England. Primarily, the biggest ones are like Louisiana. Louisiana has some really old, like,
yeah, Louisiana has a
yeah, it has a lot of things from like, there's a lot of vampire things in Louisiana.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and I believe it 100%. I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all now. I believe it.
Dracula.
Yeah, I believe it. During their career, they investigated over 10,000 cases. 10,000. Now, there would have been more. A lot of the times, either Lorraine would be like, absolutely not, I can't handle it. Eventually, she would start to learn how to handle her emotions.
She would also get drained from some
Yes, but she would learn later down the road in her life of how to control her emotions and how to like maintain stamina. And Ed was very determined. So it was never Ed that was like, nah. Like Ed would be down to do it, but Lorraine was his woman, babe. And he was like, if she's not comfortable or if she's not in a good state of mind, then we're not doing it. Let's go ahead and talk about their most notable investigations. Again, these will be the ones that we will be doing individual stories on moving forward and deep dives on. Again, this video is going to be pretty short because it's just going to be discussing their life. And to be quite frank, outside of their investigations, there's not much to say, y'all. They did investigations. They went and spoke at colleges. They went on TV. They gave licensing to like Universal and all of these TV movie corporations to make these huge blockbuster movies about their investigations. But aside from that, they only had one child born a year after they were married. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, they even had a room in their house dedicated to
Oh, it was more than a room. We're going to get to that. Well, it got bigger as time went on.
Yeah.
As time went
the more
on,
artifacts they added, the bigger it had to get.
Yeah. But we'll get to that. So their most notable one was in 1970, and that was the doll Annabelle.
No, that's one that tries to be debunked.
Correct. A lot of people try to debunk it, which we're going to talk about right now. There was obviously Ed and Lorraine faced a lot of skepticism through the years, and this is one of the main ones because in 1956, a very popular show at the time, The Twilight Zone, yes, they released an episode of a doll who became friends with two daughters. And these two daughters loved this doll, okay? Now, the kicker is that her name was Annabelle, okay? Again, though the similarities are there, and there's a lot of similarities, we don't know when this story originated.
Now, who's to say that the Twilight Zone episode wasn't
based off of that? Real? That's what we're saying. Like, there's no true cut and dry saying, like, this is, all we know is that Ed and Lorraine investigated it in the 70s. In which case, if this story did originate in the 50s, that's when the Twilight Zone episode came out. That still does not debunk Ed and Lorraine's investigation. That just means that was the first telling of this doll. I believe it 100%. And people who have been in the same area as Annabelle, who is still around, she is still in the box that Ed and Lorraine put her in, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. She's still locked up. She still has the, Ace of Hearts card in front of her. She still has the dollar bill that was given to her as donation. All the things are still there. And we're going to talk about that too. In 1971, Ed and Lorraine were called to a home for the Perrin family. This would be the most notorious case that they would ever work on, because this would also be the beginning of The Conjuring. Now, The Conjuring is the #1 best blockbuster selling movie in horror to date. Now, not saying that it's been viewed the most, but that it has more of a following of people. Like, people follow the series of The Conjuring and the movies that follow The Conjuring. 1975, they were called to a home in, northeast United States, at the Amityville home, which we're going to do a full video on that, or the House with Eyes, as a lot of people call it.
Good old Amityville, New York.
Yes, which also has, most of these you all already know are blockbuster hits. In 1977, they were called to an investigation on the Enfield poltergeist. This would be based on the Conjuring 2 film. In 1981, they were called to speak with the prisoner, Arnie Johnson. And this is what The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. In 1986, they investigated the Seneca house, which a lot of people do think the new Conjuring movie is based off of this home. In 1986, they also investigated the Smurl family. It's also said that the Seneca house and the Smurl family will be comboed into this movie, which would make sense because they were investigated the same year. In 1992, Ed spent a week at Union Cemetery in Connecticut. This is a cemetery where the woman in white is known to be. And there is an entity. Now, this entity has followed them throughout the years. It's never really went away. It did come out with a movie based on this entity known as the Balak, and came out with the movie series The Nun. And we will get into that moving forward. Now, we do need to talk about some things that have happened since Ed and Lorraine got older. Okay, so their daughter Judy and her husband Tony, they started working for the family business. Tony actually started to run the business very early on into their marriage. A really interesting thing that a lot of people don't talk about is that Ed and Lorraine never charged for their investigations. They did charge for the licensing for the movies that they gave licensing
Well, they had
to.
to make money somehow.
Absolutely. And they did charge to go on television and radios, and they did charge to speak at colleges or to do any type of they did these classes too for newly clairvoyants and things like
But
that.
if they were in it for the money, they would have charged people.
Oh,
They did not charge
100%.
people.
100%. They never did. And a lot of times it's because the people that they were going to help didn't have the money, y'all. Like they truly didn't have the
No,
money.
they were already up against it with what was going on.
Yeah, and I've also, another big theory is, oh, well, if all of this was true, why would they not just call the church? Most of these people were either never in faith at all, or they were of faith and something turned them against it.
And a lot of churches, you have to go through different hoops. You have to prove different things. It takes a while. versus someone that ain't technically with the church, they can get in it and get to it
Yeah,
a lot
it's
quicker.
it's not an easy process to have a demon expunged or to have your home looked at when it comes to things like that. So we need to talk about 2017 because I know that there are going to be comments in the comment section about this. The Judith Penny accusations. Now, this was a woman who was friends and worked closely with the Warrens, okay? And she came out in 2017 and she claimed that she had a 40-year sexual relationship with Ed, okay? She also allegedly stated that she got pregnant at some point and Lorraine found out and came and said, you need to get an abortion because if you don't get the abortion, this is going to cause public scandal. And then Judith also claimed that Lorraine had in the contract that Ed would, quote, not be portrayed into having extramarital affairs or engaging in sex crimes like sex with a minor, end quote. Now, though these claims were made, obviously Lorraine never admitted to them. Ed had already passed at this time. And Ed and Lorraine's daughter and son-in-law stated that these things never did happen, and there's been nothing said about it since. So that's why it's said to be just a theory. So at the end of their investigation life, they started to focus heavily on making sure that their knowledge was passed down to the correct people. This is when they started passing down information to their daughter and to their crew and son-in-law and all these things. And they also started hosting lectures across the country. And on August 23rd, 2006, almost 20 years ago today, 19 years ago today, pretty much, Ed passed away from a stroke. Lorraine, however, she continued to share her knowledge. Even past that, she would be in interviews. She would show. They did have a museum, which we're going to do a full video on the museum and artifacts that were in their museum. She would continue to host, interviews and also talk about the artifacts that were in that museum. On April the 18th of 2019, at the age of 92, she passed in her sleep. So it was peaceful in her sleep. She was not of bad health or anything. She didn't have anything happen in her sleep. She just passed away in her sleep.
Never woke up.
Yeah. And currently the NESPR that we talked about earlier that they started in 1952 is now ran by their son-in-law Tony Spurra and their daughter Judy Spurra, who co-directs the company. There is the most recent video that I found was a YouTube video of Lorraine giving a tour of their museum, which we're going to break down fully in our last video of this series. And yeah, that is the story of Ed and Lorraine. Again, there's not much to say. They were kids. They knew they had some type of special something. They met in the 40s. He went to war for a little bit. He came back. They painted for a short period of time, and then boom, their investigation started.
Yeah, but diving into it, I never knew that they investigated the Amityville house.
You didn't?
Not until we done a dive, no.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned that they were part of some investigations that I had no clue about.
They were a part of a lot, you guys. There's over 200 that's not even mentioned here. I'm sure there's even more things that we still to this day don't know anything about.
Makes you wonder.
It does. And this is something that he recommended, so we're not even asking his thoughts on it because I already know that he's super excited to divulge into all of these. Well, baby.
They probably don't know who Freddy Krueger is, neither.
Take a seat. Yeah, I mean, I didn't until I got with you. Yeah. So, anyways.
Jason Voorhees.
I still don't know who that is. He has to tell me. I know Friday the
That's
13th.
Jason Voorhees.
Okay, I know Friday the 13th, and then there's some other
Camp
one.
Crystal Lake.
I have no idea what that means.
That's where where Jason died. Camp Crystal Lake.
See, he talks these things that I don't know, but then he won't rewatch the movies with me, so I just never know.
Look,
I'm just
if
like,
you watch the movie from the 80s, it's a lot different watching it now and seeing just how shitty it was.
yeah, but then he's
but
like,
back then it was awesome.
yeah, but then when I don't know something, he's like, do you don't know what Camp Trampoline is? I'm like, no, bitch. I've told you 10 times that I don't know what it is. And you tell me, oh, it's this. And I'm like, okay, well, let's watch it. And then every time
But you know
I'm
who
like,
Chucky was.
I do know who Chucky is. I've still not seen any movie but Chucky's Bride. But Bride of Chucky. I say Chucky's Bride every time. But anyways,
no, we've seen the
we'll be scrolling. Yeah, we did. We've seen the Spawn of Chucky too. But we'll be like scrolling through movies, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's, Friday 13th or whatever. And he's like, I'm like, damn, bitch. Like, am I ever going to be able to watch these with you? He just let me watch Friday the 13th or Freddy Krueger.
Well, it was the remake.
And it wasn't even the original, bitch. I was so pissed.
Robert Englund wasn't even the actor no more.
He was like, this is not the right guy. And I'm like, Robert what Englund are you talking about?
Didn't want to do it no more. He didn't feel right doing it no more.
I was like, well, what? Guys, I was clocked out after that. He was like, this isn't even the right guy. I'm like, what are you talking about? This isn't the right guy.
I'm going to let her watch the original.
He was like, this isn't Freddy Krueger. I'm like, then why are we watching it?
She'll understand.
And then he's like, oh, well, I haven't seen this one. So we got to sit and fucking watch it, bitch. Sorry, Lord. I was so mad, y'all. I was like, dang, we have passed this movie 1,000.
So we're getting ready to watch the real Friday 13th. We're going to watch one of tonight. Going to bed. We're going to watch Nightmare on Elm Street, the original.
Nightmare on Elm Street. That's the one we've passed, guys. I swear to you, 1,000,000 times. On HBO Max, Netflix, all these places. And he's always like,
I guess.
And so, of course, I'm like, well, damn, you don't want to watch that. So I find something else.
The storyline was a little different, too, in the remake.
No, you said it was the same.
So you've not even seen the original Hills Has Eyes.
No, I don't know none of this.
You've seen the new remakes. You've seen
I thought that was the original.
You've seen the Texas Chainsaw remakes. You've not seen the originals.
See, this is my first time learning these things.
You've got a whole lot to watch.
A whole lot to watch. There's
also Pincushion. What?
Pinhead.
Hellraiser.
Whatever. I call him Pincushion every time I see him, but because he looks like a pincushion.
Yeah, I mean, he's full of pins.
But that's another one I want to see, and every time I say, I'm like, oh, there's Pincushion, and he's like, let me know if you knew who Ed and Lorraine were, because I mentioned this on TikTok earlier, and the fact that there were 613 people in the live and only 2 people knew who they were is scary to me.
Wake up, people.
However, I had no clue who they were until I met him. I had no idea. The last time that I did a video, I did this lip combo, and you guys were threatening my life in the comment section that I didn't share what it was. So I'm going to share it with you. However, it's very simple. But this is the combo right here. I do just shade in with a little bit of lip liner. I use the Kylie Cosmetics Handbag Ho as the lip liner, but I love these little lip stains. I use like the bright pinky lip stain, and then Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. It's just like the glossiest of gloss and not sticky at all. I love this lip combo, and it's what I've been wearing for about the past 3 months. So I thought I would share that with you because you guys were like super mad at me in the last video that I didn't share that. But anyways, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. And until the very next time.
We'll see you.
Bye. So they decided to copyright my outro song. So I'm going to sing for you. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Have a great day. Da, 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 da.